Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the first of hopefully many shows with Jonesy, Mr. William Jones, Rank Fortress, and all of these kind of things that William goes under the name of. But Rank Fortress is obviously your website, but just because this is the first show, and I'm sure many people already know who you are, but for any of the audience watching who have no clue who Jonesy is, can you just give us a bit of background, how long you've been doing it, what sort of stuff you've been doing over the recent years?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing SEO for a little over 20 years. Got real serious about it, probably halfway through that. Moved to the Philippines, came over to the Philippines with probably 4 clients, nothing much. And then, COVID hit. Right before COVID hitting, I started taking on some more clients. And then in about 3 months worth of time, took on about 50. And now we sit at several hundred. We're adding, like last month, we'll pump out probably 300 to 400 websites every month. Mainly doing, if you will, Rank Fortress agency. And that's main bread and butter, SEO, web design. We don't do pay-per-click. We don't do anything else but focusing on those things. Then I also run, the largest or about the largest, if you will, Facebook group. Then on top of it, then run GMB Pros, where we have different SEOs, not just Google My Business, but SEO yourself, YouTube SEO, CTR manipulation, a little bit of everything come in. And that started a little over a year ago. And starting up now, Agency War Room, which is a done-for-you agency service where we book their calendar and close their call, close their leads and get them some clients and stuff. And also on top of all that, starting up another BPO or a VA agency in the Philippines. So I have my main one, then starting up another one, kind of like a call center, handle non-voice related things. So they don't get on the phone call. It's just, email, back-end support, lead generation, stuff like that. So a little bit of everything. So.
That you certainly don't do things by half. Obviously, over the last few years, I think anyone who's been watching your videos or following you on social media sees what you're doing and the the amount of VAs and everything that you've got is quite remarkable. But how many VAs have you currently got right now working for you?
We have close to 60 right now.
Fuck.
Close to 60. So, and like I'll bring on a VA and literally just train them for GMB posts. That's all they do. And a lot of people, they're like, well, my VAs suck. And usually if I look at their process, the reality is they're not training them correctly. In my opinion, from what I've seen, is because with our VAs, for example, is I'll sit down and train them. And then on top of training them, I give them the video. Then I do a walkthrough with them. I'm actually physically here, so I can actually physically train them. Like right now, I'm training Linlin, and we'll do SEO audits and training her just to do audits, stuff like that. So, and then like I have one that I used to do go into the groups and do all the engagement. Right now, I have a VA that literally goes on my Instagram, goes on my Twitter, goes on my TikTok, goes on everything and engages with people, so I get a lot done because I have all the VAs. I have a VA that helps me on ebooks and, like we're getting ready to drop. I have ebooks available already on the website, and it's like 21, 22 ebooks or something that I use for Tripwire to bring people in, whether that be for white label SEO, CTR manipulation, how to generate leads, whatever it may be. That's essentially what we do, but we have a lot of VAs, and that's enabled me to be free and be able to travel on top of it and do the shit that I want to do versus, being behind a desk all day answering phone calls. But I did go through that period where it's like, I remember when I first met you and started talking to you too, was you told me, so you're going to burn out if you keep this up. And because I was doing, 20 calls a day. And then I started slowly bumping up my prices on my consults and stuff. And now, I'll still do consults, but it's a high ticket, consult, where I give them a roadmap and everything else. So
it's interesting. But like I said to you before, you burn out. Everyone thinks you can do all of this shit consistently, doing the videos, doing everything, and it's not that easy. But Madge has got a question there. Are all of your VAs in-house?
Majority of them, I'd say 90% of them are in-house. My ebook lady, my design lady, my YouTube lady, those are all out-house. And then I have some CTR manipulation, phone farm stuff that's on another location, but that's the only thing that's not in-house. Everything, like I have originally when we started out, for example, we literally were like in the office I'm in now. We were in the office downstairs, which is our old bedroom. Then I moved up to the office where I'm at now, which is now my studio. And then halfway through the house being built, we built the office that is across, literally right next to our house. And that's probably 1,500 square foot with a studio inside that. And I'm now and everybody, yeah, it's me. I think I'm back.
Is it you?
Yeah, but then it's this one part in the Philippines is the Wi-Fi, but everybody's basically in house. So I have the ability to go down there and talk to them. If there's ever a fuck up, I can go down there and talk to them. If there's something that I need to change and I'm starting to do a new process, I can go down there and train them. Another thing I will also do, for example, is I have, like, for example, Chris Palmer's G-Stack, buy his training and then have them trained on his G-Stack. And then, so they're implementing things that they're learning from not just me, but Chris Palmer, Brock Misner, and a bunch of other people. So we're always learning. Then I have, 2 or 3 people that specifically do gray or black hat SEO. So when that's needed.
So a bit of everything all over the place. It's always the best way. One thing, and I know Ryan Durrani was only asking this for a laugh, but you've obviously got a big operation in there. Like, what is the internet situation like over in the Philippines? Is it ropey at best? Is that another problem you've got to overcome over there?
So yeah, I mean, I had to overcome it when I first started here, Craig and Ryan. I didn't have for right now, for example, I'm in the province. So my staff, my overhead is extremely cheap, but the internet is one problem. Then I have the electric or the current issue. So the electric, you'll have the power go out and then come back on 5 minutes later, or it could be out for 6 hours. So what I did, I bought a full commercial generator. The generator cost me, in the States, it'd be a lot more, but it cost me about 20 grand just for the generator. And then on top of it, my most expensive bill is my internet bill. My internet bill, I have a big 30-foot tower that's on top of about a 3-story house because we have mountains between us and the main tower. And that gets me about 200 megabytes or something like that. And sits between 200 and 300. When I have 40, when I have 40-something, 50-something VAs here on any given day, the internet can get sluggish, but it's still very good most of the time. So out of 5 days of the week, maybe once in a while, it goes down and it's bad, but overall, it's fairly good. I don't really have any issues with it, but I pay $600 a month for my internet bill. So that alone is probably one of the largest bills I have when it comes to running internet. If you went into like the city, I could get the same internet in the city for like less than $100.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Interesting. So just so that people, because I know Jeff, is over there and all that kind of stuff. Does Jeff work with you out of curiosity?
No, he doesn't. I met him whenever I first started about 2 years ago. And I've met him once in Manila. He used to run a VA agency, a pretty nice size one, probably a couple of years ago before the pandemic and stuff. And he's in the midst of, he's actually rebuilding and stuff. So, but he's a good guy.
But do you do a similar thing where there's a supervisor for every 4 members of staff?
So what I do, I have Fresnel. He's my main right-hand man. He's basically me. He does what I used to do. Talking to the clients and phone consults and stuff like that. So I have him. Then I have Reynold. Reynold's my assistant manager. Then I have Datu, who's also the floor manager. And then I have a head manager over web design, GMB posts, content manager, location pages, content manager that's separate. Then I also have an SEO manager, on-page SEO, off-page SEO, then Black Hat. And then I also have my own in-house programmers. So my own in-house programmers, because we're also making tools and stuff inside GMB Pro's schema tool, which they already made, location page, it automatically generates location pages, etc. But they're constantly looking at different tools we made, such as the support system that we build out on the website and stuff like that. So
interesting. Colin Edwards is asking, what's your opinion? Can search engines understand what copy has been created with AI? Are you doing anything like that, or have you tested it?
We use AI for everything we do, so it still ranks. We use AI, but what a lot of people do, what I think affects it, is I'll go into Jarvis or wherever they're using Closer's copy. They create the AI and they slap it up there and they think it's going to rank and it's going to do good. That's not what we do. We use AI, but then we go through it, we clean it up, polish it up, make sure it reads right and everything else passes. If you will copy escape, passes Grammarly, etc., then we use it. Yeah. We're generating close to probably 20 to 30 million words of content every month. So we're generating a lot of content.
And out of curiosity, obviously you're finding that that's sticking and you're doing successful stuff there. What countries are you targeting in terms of like rankings? Is it the Philippines? Is it a weaker country, or is it US and stuff like that?
US. 90% of my clients are US. I have a few clients in Canada, a few clients in UK, and a few clients in Australia, but majority of them are all USA based.
Interesting stuff. Now, guys, we are here to pick the shit out of Jonesy's brains. So whatever you want to ask him, whether it be VAs, GMB stuff, whatever. If he can't answer, he can't answer. But give us all your questions in the live chat. He's here, and he will be here over a prolonged period of time. But whilst he's here, we need to pick the shit out of his brains, find out what he's done wrong, what he's doing right, all the sneaky shit that he's prepared to share. So keep your questions coming. Dean Signori, I'm not sure if you want to answer this one, and please feel free to say, I ain't telling you. But he's asking, what's the most valuable thing your team picked up from Brock Misner's GMB course? If you want to say, of course, because
there are some sneaky things in Brock Misner's course that I was not using on my location pages. And I will say that it is related to, driving directions, but I already was using driving directions, but think of public transportation. That much I'll give you. I added that in there, and we've been seeing things pick up in about 2 weeks. Also, he shows us in there as well how to get our reviews to stick, because we are always having problems with reviews sticking. Now, the method that he taught in that course, I'm getting pretty much all of my reviews to stick. I can pump out 5 reviews on every account and they stick. Stuff like that. I mean, it's nothing crazy per se. A lot of it was just tweaks. What I've found with us is we're always testing and tweaking. So I'll find something, I'll say, well, I've never thought of that, so let me try it. And so we'll test it for a couple of weeks. As long as we see it's improving, we'll start adding that into our SOP, if you will, for every client. So when we go through that course and I find these things, I go, let's apply it across every single client we have, so they get the benefit of all of it.
That's what we want. That's what we want. Colin Edwards has thanked you for his workload growing since being in GMB Pros. Guys, William does have a group, GMB Pros. I do speak in there as well to that group, and there's a lot of good, solid guys, not just because Jonesy's here, but I think there's a lot of good guys in there. Doing great stuff, and I think all of these guys trying out all of this kind of weird ass shit and having their own ways of doing things is always a great place to learn if you're interested. So do check out Jonesy's GMB Pros Facebook group. Pretty sure he's easy to find on there, but yeah, check it out. And if you're struggling, shoot me a message and I will give you a link. A question from Lawzilla. Is CTR Booster still good to use for CTR manipulation? If so, which proxies do you guys recommend? Packet Stream proxy guys, or what are you using, Jonesy? Or do you even use CTR Booster?
Nope, I don't use it.
Have you ever used it?
No, I've tested that, and I've tested Agency Assassin. I've had my own phone farm. I've done stuff with that. I've done, what else? I've used this other one, Viper. I've used all types of tools, and then I just find things that work and then start using them. If they don't push the needle as much as I think, a lot of people, they immediately, if you will, I don't think this is you, Lawzilla, but a lot of people immediately go to, hey, I want CTR manipulation. And I'm actually the guy that goes, well, let me look at your site. And I look at your site and usually tell you, you probably don't need CTR manipulation, because generally speaking, most people don't even have the basics done. Get the basics done on on-page SEO and internal linking, off-page. And then if I can't push you past 10 with all the stuff that I do naturally, then I'll use CTR manipulation. But very rarely do I have to use CTR manipulation. I use CTR manipulation mainly whenever I've tried and cannot get that push into the top 3, then I'll start using some CTR manipulation. But it's pretty rare. It's not, I mean, out of, let's say, 200 clients, I might have 3 that I've had trouble with that I actually am currently doing CTR manipulation. And right now I'm using Agency Assassin with some other things, with in correlation with Brock Misner's course and stuff he teaches in there too. So, and if you don't have it, I would definitely recommend getting his course. I mean, it's got some good stuff in there. So, and he also comes in on Fridays and teaches as well. So
that's in GMB Pros, guys. And Brock is a smart dude. James Moore, if comparing Ahrefs, SEMrush data to your actual site data, don't know if that was in response to something else, but yeah, good to see you anyway, James Moore. Chris Debuty, how do you lay out multi-location GMBs on a site? All landers on homepage, or connect GMBs to pages other than the homepage?
It's one of the big questions I get a lot. Me and Chris Palmer have talked about this. For example, with me, personally, I only take one GMB, put it on one website, and one website with one location. So if it's in Dallas, Texas, that entire website's going to be about Dallas, Texas. If they got 4 or 5 GMBs, I personally do not use those on that same website. And the reason being is I've done many audits where people have 4 or 5 GMBs. I'm not talking about like 20 or 30. Okay. I'm just talking about 4 or 5. And generally what happens is one of the main GMB usually gets filtered out where they can't find it. They can't rank it. And one of the other locations gets ranked. And I just tell people personally, I go one GMB, one website, one location page on it. I used to at one point would take, if you will, one city and then create a bunch of, if you will, neighborhood pages that are about the neighborhoods in that city. But I've even stopped doing that. If you're going to do it, I would tell you, you have to take the location, and then you're going to have to take all the surrounding cities that you want to rank for. And every single page is going to have different content. And I mean, absolutely different content, not a little bit different. At a client recently, they had almost 200 something pages over, I believe, close to 60% were no indexed. And this is after I told them, I said, we don't do it this way anymore, but we'll do it because you want us to do it. And lo and behold, 60% of them or more were no indexed, because you have to have unique content on every single page. We'll do it. It's just not something I recommend. If you're going to have multiple GMBs, get multiple websites. It's not, I do it all the time for people. A lot of times they don't want to do it because of the money. And I will say, well, get this one, get it ranked, get leads coming in, money coming in, and then duplicate what you already done and won on another website, another location. Get even more leads coming in on that one site,
Yeah. Hope that helps you, Chris. Colin Edwards, Money Robot, what's your guys' views? So are you using Money Robot at all for anything?
I use Tony over at Link Daddy. And I know he uses Money Robot, and I've had, a lot of our clients use them, and then they get boostings in their rankings, boosting in their GMBs, etc. But I don't personally build Money Robot links myself. I use Tony to do it if we're going to do it, but I don't personally do a whole lot of backlink building personally. I do some press releases.
Is that Tony Peacock?
Tony Peacock. Yes, sir. Yeah, he's a good guy.
I've heard of him. I don't know him particularly well, but yeah, I've heard good things about him. So what's that Link Daddy you said?
It's Link Daddy. Yep. And I post a lot about Link Daddy inside of the groups that I manage and own too. So you'll see us posting in there the different things. Like a lot of times you'll buy, for example, domain name booster packages, and the domain, and I know there's debate about it. You boost the domain name and usually it drops the page rank after so long. Well, when he does, it actually boosts and stays. So, and then I've also used him and do a backlink campaign, and it goes from having, if you will, no rankings to having dozens of keywords ranking. So, I've had people say, well, if you look at, for example, how many are indexed, not all of them are indexed. And I've still very much seen rankings improve from it, even with no index, without the backlinks being indexed and stuff. So
try it out, guys. Try it out. So Chris is asking, local businesses with 5 main services across a region, 1 page per location with all services on it, or 5 pages per location?
So if you have one main business, you have 5 services and you have 1 main location, all I personally do, if you ever look at any of our sites, is you have the homepage and it lists out the services, and those are internally linked to their actual main service pages, right? That's your homepage. I actually take that same thing, kind of duplicate it as a location page, but if you will, the juice comes in where ours doesn't look like a backdoor page, is because I put in there if you will, area information about, let's say, Dallas, Texas, Orlando, Florida, who's the mayor, what's the weather, things to do, places to go, driving directions, transit directions, all types of stuff. And then I do some embeds, iframe embeds, local news embeds. So it doesn't look like it's a quote unquote backdoor page or duplicate content. And all the services are listed on there as well. So
great answer. Hope that helps you, Chris. Hardcore Jacks, could you tell me about this agency war room you just dropped? Does it really include trained VAs?
Yeah, the package, the top tier package, you get 5 trained VAs. So these are VAs. If you tell me, okay, I need a web designer, I need a GMB poster, I need an SEO or outreach or lead generation, we source the VAs, we find them, we train them, then we hand them off to you. It'll be your responsibility to pay for them once I hand them off to you. But prior to handing them off to you, I will have a support website built for you. Give that to you. That way you're communicating with them the way I teach you, because I've actually fucked up and made mistakes. Whenever I first started, I actually did it remotely, had like 17 VAs. And then when I found out things weren't being done the way I wanted to, I fired every one of them, but like 3 of them, and then rebuilt from the ground up. And how I rebuilt was brought them in, trained them, sat down next to them, and literally showed them exactly how to do an SEO audit, how to fix everything. And I started training my VAs totally different. So, but yes,
Not a bad deal, guys. Not a bad deal. James Moore, he's came across with the right information this time. So Ahrefs SEMrush data versus actual site data. How do you guys compare these? Is Ahrefs and SEMrush accurate or way off?
I don't think they're way off, but I mean, generally speaking, if I use programs, I'm using at least 2 to 3 of them. Both of those are two of the main ones we use, but we'll compare them. Sometimes they're way off and sometimes they're very similar. Same thing with GeoGrids, Local Viking, compare it with Local Falcon, compare it to LeadSnap. And I've seen sometimes night and day where Local Falcon will show me, greens and yellows. And then you go over to Local Viking and be red as shit. And you're like, what's going on here? So I usually use about 2 or 3 tools so I can get an average and go, okay, I can at least kind of get a feel for what's probably right. But, there's never, my main thing is, are you ranking and are you getting phone calls? Those are the 2 main factors I look at. What SEMrush and Ahrefs tells me, I didn't give a shit about it. It's mainly, are they getting phone calls? Are they getting rankings? And if they're getting the phone calls and the clients, obviously what you're doing is working,
I would always, but for me personally, answering that, your own actual site data is going to be a hell of a lot more accurate than any third-party tool. These tools don't have access to that data in a lot of cases unless you allow them Search Console access and stuff like that. But, the tools are there to help you for various different things, but certainly the data in terms of traffic and stuff is going to be, there's going to be discrepancies. So, but they're great tools, and a lot of the other data I feel is very good and very helpful for your job. Dean, how much weight do you place on GMB embeds these days?
I mean, I use them, but it's not one of my main things. I mean, I always go back to what is your on-page internal structure, internal linking, content, things of that nature. Most of the time, people are looking for the quick win, or if you will, the quick silver bullet. And just don't find that a lot of these, they're a hack for a reason. They're going to work for a period of time and then they're going to stop working, or they're going to get patched for a period of time, then come back. So I'll use them, but it's not something I'm going to rely upon. I use them, in everything we do. I mean, but I don't think they're going to, I've never tested it to say, let me just test GMB embeds and see how much that moves the needle. It's not something I've done.
Would you say, though, if you were forced, so I held a gun to your head and said, no more fucking GMB embeds, you reckon you could still rank?
I could still rank without it. Yeah, without it.
So, yeah, that's how much weight I believe is. I think you can do it without them. So I don't think there's a lot of weight there, Dean. But if it's part of your process and it's working for you, then continue doing what you're doing. Aaron is saying hiring link builders has been the hardest hire for him historically. How do you separate link building roles, and what responsibilities does each role consist of?
So you may have someone that's doing blog outreach. You may have someone that's usually going, if you will, to Haro or Haro, however you wish to say it. You may have someone that is just looking for link building opportunities on similar websites, niche relevant sites. I do press. Then you have others, press releases. I do a lot of those with Signal Genesis. But I mean, train them. I have different roles. As part of also, once again, what's inside of Agency War Room is I got right now 150 plus SOPs, which include everything from social media posting to hiring someone for podcasts, hiring someone for, if you will, link building, SEO on page. Are they using Rank Math? Are they using Yoast? Are they using All-in-One SEO? I have every single one of the SOPs because we've done and use all of them based upon the client. I have some clients that will love Rank Math and other clients that hate it and only want to use Yoast. So we have to make a SOP based upon whatever they may want. I can't be upon what I want because the client may not want it. They may want Yoast, or they may want some other platform like Squirrely. So when it comes to link building, we have specific SOPs for specific types of link building too. So the training aspect of it, a lot of times when you hire and find a VA, I'm looking more for, when I'm looking at VAs, I'm looking more for people that are teachable and coachable. I could really care less about the skill because I can teach the skill. But if they're not teachable, I can't teach shit because they're not going to listen and they're not going to learn. Then I get other ones that learn really fast. And when I find those, I generally try to push them up the ladder, up the skill sets very fast, and get them doing as much as possible when it comes to that specific niche, or that specific skill.
There you have it, Aaron. Hopefully that helps you. So just to clarify, if someone was to join the agency war room, do they get to see the SOPs, or is that just between you and the VA?
No, they get the SOPs. There's an entire website I've built out that I'm launching this week as well, and it's literally, if you're an agency war room, you get it, but if you're not an agency war room, it costs $1,000 a year, and it comes with it right now. It's 150 SOPs, and I'm working on probably about another 40. So I'd give it 3 months, I'll be over 200 SOPs. But every month I'm adding different SOPs based upon what clients want, et cetera. And that covers everything from lead gen on. But if they're in the war room, they get it. And it's not just SEO related. Like in GMB Pros, if you're a GMB Pro, you get all my local GMB SEO SOPs. But this is everything from pay-per-click to social media posting, lead generation, because I do a lot of that. I just don't do it for other clients a lot of times. Like the pay-per-click stuff, I've always just done for myself.
Interesting. Jeff is asking, do you use LinkedIn for leads daily, and do you post daily? Do you use LinkedIn at all?
We use LinkedIn aggressively. So for our clients and for our agencies work with, we can generate, a fair amount of leads. When I say fair amount, I mean anywhere from 500 to 1,000 leads. So
are you using automation when you're doing that though, like Link Helper and all that shit?
Automation with a VA. So we'll have a VA specifically trained on lead generation using LinkedIn. And then we use some, if you will, the sales navigator and some other things to create lists, and then create emails, and then create DMs back and forth, stuff like that, and create a conversation. Most of the time what happens is they come in and they try to quote unquote DM somebody or create a conversation. And the way in which they're trying to create a conversation is just crap. So, and I get it, and I know you get them. I get them all the time. It's like, I got reviews. Do you need them, business owner? Hey, sir. Hey, hey, honey, and all this other shit. And instead of trying to find out something about the business owner, and then working from there and actually giving, if you will, some help or value, or, hey, here's some free information. Maybe SEO audits, whatever. SEO audits is my bread and butter. I don't understand I've literally taught. There's a guy named Kirk. He's on the sales page and also one of my reviews. He lives in the Philippines. I showed him how to do the SEO audits the way I teach them. And within the first time he did it, I think he got 20 audit requests. He signed up 3 new clients. He made over $4,000, added $4,000 in a month. Next time he did it, which was, I think, 2 months ago, he did 70 something audits, signed up 18 new clients. So he's over 6 figures a year now because of that. Just doing audits, not even talking about doing, all the other stuff we do with lead generation via social media, so.
Not a bad return. Not a bad return at all. Chris is asking, main tip to push GMB up past the 4 to 7 spot. We see a lot easily to get to that point. Then we do various methods to get up to the 3-pack. So what's your main tip to push on into the top 3?
If I was having a hard time getting it to the top 3, CTR manipulation. But that's if I'm having the hard time, then I'll use a CTR manipulation. I'll use some driving directions and things of that nature to actually push it up. Generally speaking, I don't even have to go that route because our location pages and some other stacks that I teach, one of which is, for example, we teach this in GMB Pros, is there's a stack that I started doing, for example, probably a year ago. I was like, how can I embed? And this is the one Holly seen. And she says, oh my God, I can't believe you figured out was I took the GMB website, embedded the bitch on an actual page on the site, then also put all my posts, GMB posts in there and everything else. And there's some other things that we added in there, but with the GMB posts, I also send CTR manipulation to those GMB posts with 4G proxies. And then I've seen that create a boost as well. But if I have to do anything and I can't get it past 4.7, I'm going to use CTR manipulation if I'm having a hard time. And it's generally a mix. It's never one specific tool, because a lot of people want to just use one specific tool, and generally it's a mix. The same thing with YouTube. When me and you have talked about, it's always a mix. It's never just one thing. And I've tried almost everything when it comes to both. So,
and some of these things that you're trying are just fucking horse shit. I've wasted so much money on CTR manipulation over the last few years. It's frightening.
Yeah.
But it's all part
we
of the
begin
fun.
to develop habits. We have to say no.
I can't, man. I'm just like, give me what this bastard's doing. Like, I want to see it. Like, you know, it's just always the will.
People always promise you the world, and you're hoping that it will be, and then you go, motherfucker, same shit.
Yeah. We fall for it every time. Kick yourself, but fuck it. At least we can tell stories about it after it. That's the main thing. But Kazi is asking, have you worked with a client on a Shopify website? If so, what are the biggest issues you've had and how did you overcome them?
So up until probably 4 months ago, all I ever did was WordPress and local SEO. Not to say I've never done national. I've done national. I've ranked national. I've done e-commerce and I've ranked e-commerce. We just never focused on that. So up until about 4 months ago, then we started focusing more on that. We do Shopify. The only biggest problems, it's not that it cannot be SEO optimized. And this is what I've told you. It's a lot easier when it's on WooCommerce and WordPress for me. And I know there are guys out there that swear by other platforms, Duda, Shopify, and all these other ones. And I just don't use it because for me, it's much easier for me to utilize some of the things I've done. For example, the location page plugin, we developed the advanced schema page plugin. We developed it's all in WordPress. So, I mean, and it makes it more difficult to work with a lot of these other ones, but I'll still do my best when it comes to Shopify. I can still do the on page. I can still do the internal linking. I can still do the structure and everything else like normal. So it's nothing that's more difficult per se. I mean, I personally think national SEO is much easier than local SEO. I can get, I have clients that we've done national SEO for that we get thousands of, keywords ranked for. Whereas in local SEO, I'm just concentrating on a handful or so. I'm not concentrating on thousands. So when I'm concentrating on thousands, I can get a lot more traffic. It can look a lot better, versus I'm only working with 5 to 10 keywords and I got to try to pull as much juice out of that calls as possible.
What I would also add, Kazi, is anytime I've worked with Shopify, we all know that you don't have access to the server. It's restricted access in a lot of cases. I would have shop.domain name, and I'd have the e-commerce and the shop on that, and I would have a WordPress front end on the domain name so that I got the best of both worlds, because I think the Shopify e-commerce functionality is top notch. It's quick, easy to set up and all that stuff. But certainly from an SEO perspective, I would be using the front ends or on the root domain name, a WordPress website. That's how I've gotten around people who, strictly say, I'm sticking with Shopify, I ain't moving. But I think you're right, William. If you can stick with what you've got and you've got all the other shit to work with WordPress, why the fuck would you want to go onto Shopify? You're just tying the hand behind your back, basically, which is you're not going to get results doing that, or not the best results anyway. But anyway, hopefully that helps you, Kazi. Guys, keep the questions coming. We will work through as many as we can. We've got 20 minutes left. Please do leave a little like or a dislike on the video if you don't like any of us. Engagement's engagement. So stick something on there anyway. Yeah. But Hardcore Jacks, what would be your best advice for starting and growing an agency? Outsourcing versus in-house. So I think we've all started, William, working stupidly, working really hard, not scaling that well. And you like we spoke before, and I'm like, don't burn out. I've burnt out. I've been there, done it. If you were starting from scratch again, would you instantly think outsource this shit? Like,
if I could redo it and I had someone like myself that I could talk to, I would outsource it. I'd outsource. I would never do it in-house, because to me, it's like, I ask people all the time, it's like, why would you, I mean, to me, it's beyond me. It's like, why would you have a business that you have to be involved in it all the time? Because to me, I mean, everything I've read from business owners, successful business owners, 9-figure, 10-figure, they're going to tell you is like, if you're involved more than 10% or 10% or more in your business, you have no business. You have a job. And I don't want a job. And at one point when I first met you, it's like, I'm sitting here pumping out all this content, doing all these phone calls, and I'm getting burned out. And you told me, you're like, you need to slow down. And that's when I took about a 2-month sabbatical and wasn't doing much of nothing, because I was getting the points like, I don't want to do this no goddamn more. Because it's you know, it's just, there are times on top of it, then you deal with people coming at you and hating on you and everything else, on top of having to deal with all the fires you're trying to put out in an agency. Because everybody sees an agency, you're like, oh, it's wonderful. You got so many clients. And it's like, really? You know, your brain must not have been fully developed if that's what you think, you know? So,
yeah.
If I could redo it all over, outsource everything. Outsource my email, outsource my social media, outsource, you know, your support ticket, outsource your web, your SEO, everything. I basically, if you go to, let's say, for example, a CPA, you know, an accountant, the accountants have bookkeepers. And what happens is you pay high ticket, high dollar, and you go in there at CPA, and the bookkeeper prepares all the documentation, everything. And the bookkeeper brings it in the CPA, and all he does is check off on it, sign off on it. That's all you should be doing as a business owner. Check off on everything, make sure everything's going the way it's supposed to be, and move on. That way you can enjoy your life and travel and go places and things of that nature, not so you can be tied down into your business. You know,
work on the business, not in it, is the best advice I could ever give.
Yeah, it's a process. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. You know, I mean, little tweet, you learn and you fuck up and you have mistakes, and then you just do little by little by little by little. You know, so I just happen to have the benefit of living in the VA capital of the world on top of it. So.
Yeah, you've got it fucking made. At least you can see the whites of the eyes of your fucking VAs, whereas we're literally, we don't fucking know what's happening when we're on here. So, it's madness. Anyway, guys, keep the questions coming. Comet, any advice for a site being targeted by search spam bots? He's getting a lot of spam bots flooding his site search bar, which are creating hundreds of thousands of no-index pages and straining his server. Would you switch off your search functionality full stop?
I don't necessarily know if that's the solution. I've had a lot of people attacking my shit, obviously. So my solution was I moved my servers, all my websites over to Russia. And then I also put it on a different server platform. And that has since stopped a lot of the quote unquote attacks that I was getting, DDoS attacks and stuff like that. But in regards to what you're talking about, I don't have that problem.
I've had that one comment. Switch off your site search functionality. There's a snippet of code you can whack in, switch that shit off. Because like Jonesy, I have been battered to fucking death online. You put your face out there and you've got all sorts of people throwing punches at you. Even just now, not physical punches, but you get what I mean. Even just now when I do a tweet, I've got all these Twitter bots or whatever saying, hello, sexy lady, nice lips you've got. And you know, they don't show up in my notifications, but anyone who's reading like the thread of my tweet will be like, Craig, what the fuck's going on? It's not even me trying to do any kind of funky shit or, you know, make myself look busier. This is just outrageous spam that some motherfuckers thrown at me. So people are at it all the time. Switch off that search functionality, because if they're coming for you, they won't fucking stop until you switch it off. So get it off, mate. Dean is saying Tony Peacock from Link Daddy was where he got his current embed map blast from. Not my usual tactic, but I've added 31 products to the GMB and plenty of images and Brock's tips, but he's no movement at the moment. So, and I'm going to see if he said anything else under it. No movement, but which is why he asked about embeds as testing them to see if it works. Now, first things first, when did you get that done, Dean? Was it recently? Or William, is it better for me to ask this? Does it take a bit of time to see the results from going from Tony to this pulling through? What's the kind of time?
What most people say something doesn't work or this works and this doesn't work. The first question I'm going to ask you would be, okay, did you actually only do this one thing from, if you will, Brock's, or this one thing from Tony and nothing else? Because if you didn't do it that way, you can't tell me that this is the cause of it or this doesn't work. And that's the problem with most SEOs. Not saying that that's him, but I'm saying most people do not separate what they're actually testing. Because if you're saying, okay, I did embeds, okay, were you doing any backlinking? Were you doing any on-page internal structure? What else were you doing? Or did you just stop doing everything else? And then how long did you do that for? 30 days, 60 days, 90 days? What did you do? So, because what counts, what either hurts or, if you will, helps your rankings isn't what you're doing today. It's what you did 2, 3, 4 months ago. You know, there are things that you do them today and it pops off, but most of the time it's what you did over a compounded period of time versus what you did just 2, 3 days ago or a week ago or 2 weeks ago, you know. And then with all the Google updates with local SEO, those things can have an effect too, you know. So
that's why I stay the fuck away from local SEO GMB shit. There's too many fucking updates.
Sometimes they're always doing that.
But hope that helps you, Dean. Honey is saying most of the website competitors has brand searches with low DA and PA ranking better than Honey's site. Is there anything she can do?
Are you doing any brand name or brand plus keyword or brand plus location backlinking strategies or CTR strategies? If you're not, I would tell you to do that.
Do that, Honey. Got to trigger. There's lots of different signals, on page, off page, engagement signals. There's all of these different things that all form part of the jigsaw, in my opinion. And you've got to be doing a little bit of everything to make sure that you get to where you are. And DA, PA, it's a third-party metric, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. Is there more engagement going on in these other websites? Is that why they're above you and stuff like that? So dig a little bit deeper and hopefully you get there. We do have 10 minutes left. We will go through as many of the questions as we can. Keep them coming, though. Holy poo, I didn't know you was going to do that in the new war room. So Colin Edwards is super excited. Where can I get more information about the agency war room? What is it exactly? Because Sandra has issues with VA. So where can we get more information? What's the website, William?
It is agencywarroom.org. agencywarroom.org.
So Sandra, head over there. And William, or can you give us a brief description again? Because Sandra obviously missed it. What the hell is Agency War Room? What can you get in there?
Let me pull it up and I'll actually give you the entire bullet points, if you will, down. But so let me pull it up real quick, because it's a whole lot of stuff. It's not just a little bit. So the top one is agency done for you, handheld, 6 figures and beyond. It's $4,497 a month. And I only have a couple of spots left on that one, but it's everything from, lifetime access to training, VA funnel, weekly group coaching calls, over 170 SOPs, agency contract templates, private Facebook group, weekly group sales call, private one-on-one with myself, private one-on-one with accountability partner, 5 VAs trained and handed off, support channel given to you, go high-level account lifetime access, automation tools and lead generation, email support, appointment setter, book calendar with leads, commission-only sales closer, and private resort trip to the Philippines. So it's a lot.
What is the best course mastermind for local SEO? Thinking of joining one.
Yeah.
GMB Pros. And people say, Craig, promote your own mastermind. I'm not I've never claimed to be a GMB expert. I don't even fucking do GMB local stuff. I play around with it and fuck around just for a laugh. But if you want the in-depth, weird shit that these guys do, because it's fucking ever changing, which is why I just went, fuck this shit. Leave it to Jonesy. So go check him out and see what's going on over there. Hope that helps you, SES or SaaS Freak. Hardcore Jacks, SOPs, as in procedures to train VAs. Is that what your SOPs are, or do you actually give the process as well? Like, go and do this, go and do that for current VAs?
Yeah, what they'll love about this, the platform, it's based on WordPress, but it is SOPs are standard operating procedures. And the way I've got it set up is these are all my standard operating procedures I've used for myself or my clients. And you can literally, with this platform, you're going to be able to duplicate the SOP and have it on your own side and go in there and add your own steps. Maybe you want to edit some of my stuff, add in a video or add in some other steps, and you can do that as well. And then it'd be on your own dashboard with your own SOPs on top of what I'm already giving you, which is over 170 right now. So we'll be over 200 by, next month. So.
Fucking hell. I don't know if someone's got a bot on this. 629 bodies in here right now on YouTube. Fucking hell. I don't know if someone's blasting a bot. After talking about someone blasting a bot at it, that is a fuck ton of people. If you are really there, give us a like on the video, people. But it's a lot higher than the average. Anyway, Paul Hogden is asking, did you say you build 300 websites a month? And what is your client acquisition process?
So part of it is I do live in the Philippines. I've had people ask me over and over, how can you sell websites for this so damn cheap? So we sell websites, 10-page websites, $150. It comes with content with 1 month of SEO. Then we have the 20-page website, which it comes with content and comes with 1 month of SEO. Those are all automated, once they buy that in 30 days, they're going to sign up for regular SEO. It's my loss leader. The loss leader being I'm going to lose on the front end so I can gain on the back end. And I build up my own audience and I build up my brand. And I have a Facebook group of almost 100,000 and I have an email list of almost 300,000. So whenever I push out an offer, like this past month, when I dropped my offer this past month, I signed up over 100 new clients just for the website and SEO package. So that's my client acquisition process. On top of it, who else are you going to be able to get that from and then turn around and sell it for $2,000, $3,000? To me, I don't understand why anybody wants to build websites when you have someone like us where we go, here's this for $350 that you can sell it for $3,000. And people will say, well, how are you making any money? Well, in the Philippines, $1 is worth about 51 pesos. So when I'm making $350, I'm making about 18,000 pesos a site. And then I pay my boys and everything else. I mean, and we do a lot of other things. There are a lot of other things everybody doesn't see on the back end. We have a value ladder where we try to get you in here and then we get you in here and we have other systems and other things we put people through. So, but thanks for the question, Paul.
Pure gold, guys. No problem, Joseph. And Jason McLaughlin, smart guy, saying outsource and focus in sales and hand it over to the boys with 60 VAs in the Philippines. Let them fucking do the donkey work. Fuck doing that shit yourself.
Jason actually flew from South Africa. He's staying here with me now. So he extended his visa for another 3 months. So he'll be here almost 4 months. And he's looking for a place and everything else. And he's in the war room as well. He's going to be helping me keep people accountable. Basically giving people, do this, and make sure you do it. And he's my guy that's going to be saying, hey, are you doing all this stuff? Because if you want it to work, you got to put in the work, unless you're on the top tier package and we do all the work. So
top tier chat package sounds like fun. Let them do all the work. Anyway, Daniel T. Douglas, would you niche down in the beginning when starting out, and how would you do case studies in the beginning? So if you're starting out, I'm going to make the assumption, Daniel, you've not done any work, so it's going to be hard to do case studies. But would you niche down, William, when you're starting out, or would you try and go for the full agency shit? Because I would say, for me personally, when I started out doing SEO, I was doing everything, social media, websites, every fucking thing. And there came a point where I was like, do you know what? Go fuck yourself to the websites. We don't do websites anymore because it takes too much time away. I only want to be an SEO. But what would your advice be when starting out? Would you niche down or go all out?
I would have, if I could have redone it, I would have niched down on, specific niche, become an expert in that niche, develop your brand around that niche. You don't have case studies. Here's an easy way to get case studies. Do free work. Get some actual results with people, and then use those as case studies. Most people are scared to doing that. I did that in the beginning. It got me a lot of, if you will, work. And it's a lot of hard work, but it's well worth it. Pays off.
That's it. Rob Prosser, good to see you, mate. And Richard Johnson, Williams GMB Pros group is no joke, incredible value. And Richard's in all sorts of groups, so Richard will be able to tell you. I know Richard's also in my group and probably in multiple other groups, but so
Thank
it's
you,
always nice things said about your group. And last question, because we have 1 minute left. Daniel T. Douglas, what are the top SEO skills you need to learn when leveraging white label services to kickstart an agency?
You don't need SEO skills whenever you're trying to leverage a white label SEO services. Your skill that you need to develop is how to sell. If you haven't read this book, it's by Sabri, which is Sell Like Crazy. I would personally put more time and effort into developing your sales skills than SEO. All these books back here I have, only one of them are an SEO book. And then another one I just bought is Chris Palmer's SEO audit book. There's only 2 books I have that are on SEO. The rest of them are all on sales and marketing. So if you want to make money in actual SEO, you need to learn marketing and sales before any of it personally, and then outsource it. If you can sell and then outsource it, then let someone else like us or our staff do the work, because we give you all the reports, we give you all the backlinks, the blog, the blogs, the press releases and everything, and the ranking reports. And, that is all you have to do. Appreciate it, Chris.
So yeah, I think we can wrap up now because I've literally got my mastermind to go to at 3:00.
Yes, sir. Run.
Guys, we will be back hopefully the same time next week, as long as William is okay with that.
Yes,
appreciate you coming on, William. If anyone wants to reach out to you, talk to you, look at your group, get involved, ask you some more questions, how's the best place, or where is the best place to get a hold of you?
If they go to rankfortress.com, top right-hand side says support, just submit a support ticket. And if you're not registered, just register under support and submit it under the department called William, and I'll get back to you.
There you go, guys. William, it has been a pleasure, mate. And hopefully this is the first of many we can do. And yeah, I will catch you same time next week, mate.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much,
No
Craig.
problem, man. Cheers, guys. See you later.
Cheers. Be blessed, everybody.